Welcome. I'm Rick Arnold from Sioux City Neighborhood Network. A lot of you know me as a local realtor, but tonight I'm here with my volunteer hat on, discussing Sioux City Neighborhood Network. I'm the president and one of the founders. For the last 20 years, we have worked in our neighborhood groups. We're an organization of neighborhood groups, and we work directly with Sioux City Police Department, with the individual officers, attend our monthly meetings and discuss crime and issues in the neighborhood that they work hard to solve and resolve. So we encourage you tonight to fill out the questionnaire that's online on Facebook and submit any questions or issues that you have going on in your neighborhood so that they will assign officers to work and help solve those issues. So as a neighborhood group, that is our goal, is to help reduce crime in our neighborhoods. And you can be a part of that tonight by filling out that survey online and helping let the officers know where the issues are in our neighborhoods. We also would love you to join our group, Sioux City Neighborhood Network. You can call me directly and I will let you know of which individual neighborhood groups may be involved in your neighborhood that you could participate in. My number is 251-8877, or we're also on Facebook. You can reach us on Facebook. So tonight we're here in our annual town hall meeting. Normally we meet in person and we break out in individual sessions and people get to talk directly with officers and deal with their issues and help reduce crime in our neighborhoods. But tonight, in the age of COVID, we are doing that online, so we're dependent on you filling out those surveys and giving us feedback. We are lucky we have this police department we do here in Sioux City. They are very proactive in meeting citizens, working with individuals and with our individual groups to reduce crime and improve our city and neighborhoods. We do have a big event coming up, which is our annual National Night Out event that is coming up Tuesday, October 6th from 5 to 7 at Riverside Park. We are going to be in the North Shelter, Shelter 6. It is a nationwide event, and we normally have 8 locations that are putting on block parties, but this year we're doing one central location in Riverside Park, and that will be free food, free fun. You can come out and meet your individual neighbors and neighborhood groups, but you can also meet your local officers. And they will be handing out food. If people want to drive out there and pick up food in their cars, the officers are going to be handing out food. Or if they want to stay and participate in our bike rodeo we're going to have for kids, where they can learn bike safety, possibly get some free bicycles or helmets, or shoot baskets or beanbag toss with their officers, then they can stay and have a fun time. It's for the whole family. It's free. And again, it's on Tuesday, October 6th from 5 to 7 at Riverside Park, and it's the North Shelter number 6. But we recommend you go in the main entrance to the park and then make a sharp right at the first drive there and go north up to Shelter number 6. So we would love to have all you guys come out for that. It's a big annual event. It's a way to build relationships between you and your neighbors, and also build relationships and meet your local police officers. And have a fun time doing that. Feed the family, because there's free food and it's fun and it's for the whole family. So please do let us know if we can be of help to you, and fill out those surveys online on their Facebook website, where you can answer questions or ask questions about what's going on in your neighborhood. There may be a drug house down the street, there may be a gang activity, there may be noisy neighbors. Whatever the issue is, we can help work with you to solve that issue. So thanks for being online tonight.
Good evening. I want to welcome everybody to our virtual town hall meeting. My name is Rita Donnelly, and I coordinate the volunteers and police service program here at the police department. I'm sure some of you out there are some of our dedicated volunteers, so I want to say hello to all of you out there. And I also want to give a shout out to all of the preparations behind the scenes that put this together tonight. So with that, I also want to emphasize that our goal many times, and most of the time behind the scenes and out in front with our community neighbors, is to continue to build the partnerships, the relationships with our neighbors. And one of the best ways that we've been doing that over the years, at least in my opinion, is through our volunteer program. As you can see, when we experienced COVID and things started happening back in March and April, we had people reach out to us right away through our volunteers, family members. They wanted to help in whatever way they could. So some of our volunteers and family members actually made homemade masks and brought them and donated them to the police department. So behind the scenes, our volunteers are very active and help out however they can. And that was one of the ways that they reached out to help us back in April. We also have folks out on the trails, which has been really, really nice. We try and make sure that we have extra eyes and ears out there for the police department. As you can see on the slide, Daniel Ford, he makes his way all the way around on all the trails. In fact, I think last month he was out for 84 hours out on our trails just to make sure that not only is he keeping in good shape, but he also is keeping an eye on graffiti for us and also to make sure that the trails are kept safe. You'll also notice that Judy and Carla, there's a picture of them. They travel quite a bit on the Sertoma Trail. It's nice to have them out there as well for eyes and ears for the police department. Jackie and Ken, bigger staff, actually use some of the bicycles that we acquired through a MULER grant a few years back. And we've got them in different locations throughout town. So Jackie and Ken get on a couple of bikes at Fire Station number 4. We're grateful to the fire department for being our partners in that regard. So Jackie and Ken head out on the Perry Creek Trail on a couple of our bikes. Our trailblazers are all given bicycle helmets if they need them, and also shirts and some good instructions on how to take pictures of graffiti and let us know what's going on. We also have a really important program called Project Lifesaver that I like to acknowledge the volunteers that help us change batteries for these individuals. This spring, this little boy, EUL, became a member of our Project Lifesaver program. The nurse at Clark Elementary let us know that he doesn't always understand danger and has taken off before from the classroom. So Project Lifesaver is a small radio transmitter that our individuals wear in their ankles or their wrist, and our officers are able to locate them quicker than if they didn't have this radio transmitter. We have about 58 people in Sioux City and Woodbury County on the program, and we just want to make people aware that this is another partnership that we have with our volunteers and with our citizens in town to try and keep people as safe as possible. Connie Timmers is one of our wonderful volunteers who is a Blue Angel for us. We have a lot of elderly folks in town who may not have family around, or they're a little bit socially isolated, which we all felt in March and April, but Connie still visited 2 of her clients on a regular basis. She continued to get things for them at the grocery store. She played cards. So Dora and Joyce are just 2 of her clients that she really enjoyed spending time with. Sometimes we get repeat calls from elderly folks who may not have someone to check on them, and our officers go out to make sure that they're okay. Once it's determined that they are doing all right, we have volunteers that follow up and provide that companionship. So we're grateful to Connie and our Blue Angels for helping us with that as well. My contact information, if anybody's interested in our volunteer program. Again, this is a great way that we continue to build relationships with our citizens in Sioux City. We've been blessed to have this program for more than 20 years with the Sioux City Police Department. My contact information is listed on the slide, but you're welcome to call me at 279-6424 if you've got any questions, ideas, or if you'd like to be involved as a volunteer. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Sergeant Jeremy McClure. First off, I want to apologize for the sound glitch that we had at the beginning. Hopefully that's all sorted out now and everyone can hear everyone all right. It's kind of been a learning curve for us doing this virtually. You didn't miss too much in the introduction from Lieutenant Kellen. She just wanted to welcome you and let you know that this is an annual thing that we do to have an interaction with the community and let you know where we're going, what our crime trends are, and provide you some other information, but more importantly, to get some feedback from you. So at the end of this, if you could go to the website, and there's a banner at the top of the website that'll provide you a link to the town hall questionnaire. To click on that and fill out that questionnaire, give us some feedback on the town hall, and also let us know about some of the concerns that you have in your neighborhood. I'm going to be filling in for crime analysis tonight and talking briefly about our crime statistics and trends that we've seen over the last couple of years and some of the approaches that we're taking to address some of those issues. So part of our reporting and you may hear this sometimes through the FBI numbers or refer to it that way, but we report to the Uniform Crime Reporting System, or to the FBI, and this is a standardized set of categories that gauges crime nationwide. Our department submits our crime numbers to the FBI based on their established standards. So it takes a little time to compile all the numbers, provide them that information, and then they analyze that and they reinterpret what those numbers are to fit their categories and publish that information. So that's why it doesn't come out right away in January, and it takes a couple of weeks, couple of months sometimes to get that information out, but we try to get that out as fast as possible. Some of the pitfalls of the UCR is that, we can't compare ourselves to other cities, and it aggregates a lot of information. So when we're looking at UCR data, it's not always fair to compare or rank cities based on their crime, looking at each other, because there's a lot of different factors that go into play there, such as population density, age of the population, economic conditions of the community, modes of transportation, family conditions, support services, strength of the law enforcement agency, and their crime reporting practices, and the crime reporting practices of the citizens. So there's a lot of different factors that go into play in compiling the UCR numbers, and we just want to throw that caveat out there. So don't look at Sioux City and try to compare it to somebody else our same size or in Iowa necessarily. Now, looking at our crime rates over the years, what we saw in 2019 compared to years previous is we saw a decrease in violent crimes from previous years. We were down 23%, and this would include our murders, our forcible rapes, manslaughters, and the such. Now, obviously, some of the murders look to be up from the previous year, but if you look at the trend overall, they seem to be trending down from the previous year. What we did see is a slight increase in burglary reports that were reported to us from previous years, and but overall we saw a decrease in a lot of the other crimes, a lot of the other property crimes that were reported to us. So there's some good and bad mix in there, but overall things seem to be trending down. And there's another quick little graph showing you the different trends. Now, these slides, or this previous slide here, this slide here is available on our website currently under the Resources tab in Crime Stats. So you can pull this up, and we'll also have all these slides available to you on our website by tomorrow. So that way, if you want to go back and look over some of the information, it'll be available. So how should we utilize this information? What do we do with this and decide the best way forward? Again, it's not a good comparison to compare Sioux City to another city, even if they're our same size or even if they're in Iowa, because there's a lot of different variables that go into play that affect a city's crime rate and their attitudes toward crime. So the best way to do it, and because we are unique in all the different variables and the components that make us Sioux City, because we are unique, the best way to do it is to compare it to ourselves in our previous years. And that's why we look at previous years and the trends as far as what trends and rates that we're seeing. Another way that we're unique is that we are heavily invested in a community team policing approach to law enforcement. This means we want a partnership with the community, and we look at problems differently than some other communities may approach them. We don't want to just respond to crimes. We want to build partnerships with the community and look for ways to prevent crime and address other quality of life issues for the community to make people feel safer and improve the safety of our community as well. Now, we also employ a customer service approach to law enforcement through this community team policing practice that we do. So that means whereas other agencies may not respond to every crime that's reported to them because there's not a suspect or there's no way to solve it, we typically do respond to every crime and take every report and then report those numbers to the FBI. So that has an effect on the numbers that we report. But our goal is to respond and provide good customer service to people that report crimes and take those reports and report those numbers, good, bad, or indifferent. The other thing that we have going for us is we do a survey every 2 years on how citizens feel about crime. And this is a CALEA standard, or Commission on Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies. They have us put in place a lot of policies and double check our policies and put standards in place that we have to meet those standards and show that we're meeting those standards. So they put a high bar on us, and one of those standards that they put in place is this survey every 2 years on how citizens feel about safety. And we just conducted one here recently, and we're trying to compile that information and get those results out here soon. But these surveys ask people how do they feel about safety where they live, where they work, different times of the day, and what issues affect that safety, and where are they concerned about the most. We review that, and in previous years that we've had that, overall people felt extremely safe to very safe as they reported on the survey, in such areas as walking in their neighborhood during the day, and very safe to moderately safe and walking in their neighborhoods after dark. So that tells me there's some confidence in the safety in their neighborhood and feelings of safety in their community. Now, the other thing that we're willing to do is work with citizens and groups that if they have concerns about crime prevention or want to look at ways to improve that, myself and Officer Andrew Duttler are available to meet with groups and meet with individual businesses and citizens and discuss ways to prevent crime and improve safety and help them feel a little more secure in what they're doing. Other responses that we get, one of the biggest concerns is traffic safety. This is probably one of the most often mentioned concerns that people have. Speeders, running stop signs, and the such. So a lot of traffic safety issues come up that affect how people feel about the community and their safety. Violent crime concerns sometimes are difficult to address. Violent crimes are hard to prevent in the fact that they're often interpersonal. They're between people that know each other, or they're involving people that are involved in very risky lifestyles such as drugs, violence, and other criminal behavior. So sometimes it's real hard to predict these violent crime rates and address some of these issues, but regardless of this, we take what we consider a major offender approach. So when we start having some major crimes go on, some felony level crimes or violent crimes and such, we look at who the major offenders are, and we start targeting them for enforcement and try to develop cases on them and work with not only local prosecutors but also federal prosecutors. Frequently we work with the federal prosecutors at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and we've worked on grants and projects such as Project Guardian, where they target violent offenders that are using firearms or carry firearms and seek federal prison sentences for them to get these violent people off our streets. So that's a way that we target some of these violent crimes and try to get these major offenders off the streets to keep the city more safe. Now, we make it a priority to be transparent and inform citizens about what's going on in the community and what the crime rates are. We do a lot of different things to address issues of public concern and how people are feeling about crimes. And also we try to monitor crime trends and get information out there to let people know what's going on, to help educate them and help eliminate those opportunities. We do this through a couple different ways. We have a website at SiouxCityPolice.com. We also are active on social media through Facebook, Twitter, also have some YouTube videos, and I know we're going to be looking at putting out some more educational videos in the next year here, trying to provide more information to you about how you can prevent crime and make your home and business more secure. We also work with the media, the TV stations, the print media, and all the journalists in our area to get information out to you in a timely manner, help you understand what's going on or explain what the event is, and also provide information on how we can prevent or try to counter some of these trends that are going on. We have regularly organized presentations and meetings within different community groups and try to engage them and present information to them as needed. And in addition to that, we have our annual citywide town hall meeting, such as we're doing tonight. Now, as we mentioned earlier, and unfortunately you may not have heard it, when Lieutenant Kellen gave her presentation, again, we apologize about the sound, but we try to do this face-to-face, and that's our preferred method, is to get out, see everyone, and do face-to-face events. So we apologize we have to do it this way, but we still want to get out there and get some information to you guys and make that connection, build that partnership. We also have some crime prevention flyers and material available that we can provide, and then we do several public service announcements. In addition to that, we do a lot of community events, try to make officers available to go to different community events when we can have community events. And I know last year alone we participated in over 440 different community events to try to make an officer available to make that connection with you guys out in the community, because this is a partnership. If you don't have faith in what we're doing and you don't have a connection to us, then it's going to be harder to do what we need to do. So I know since we're not face-to-face, we don't have a lot of questions. We're trying to monitor questions on the website, or I'm sorry, on the Facebook feed. Also, if you fill out the survey, you can provide us some feedback as far as how the town hall goes, but additional feedback. What are concerns that you have in your neighborhood? What are some of the issues affecting safety and quality of life? And we're always looking for feedback. The survey is going to be up for a couple of days here. Once that's down, you can still reach out to us through the website or through email at siouxcitypolice@sioux-city.org. If you go to the website, there's an email icon at the top of the page too. You can always contact us through that. So that's a lot of information there. Again, we'll have these slides available. Please provide some feedback or questions, or provide us some concerns so we can try to address those. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you again. This, as Lieutenant Kellen and Sergeant McClure mentioned, our first ever virtual town hall meeting. So we are learning as we go. I appreciate all of you who are out there bearing with us as we try to advance this. Obviously, we live in interesting times. Nobody's going to argue that 2020 has been an incredibly challenging year for everyone. Our police department, our citizens. So we are trying to find ways to overcome that, and this being one of them. Now, we're going to ask a lot of you. One of the things that Sergeant McClure mentioned was that exchange piece. We really want you to get onto our Facebook or our website and provide us with information. Now, we're going to do a number of things tonight. Sergeant McClure gave you some of the crime statistics. I'm going to give you a little bit about how we use those crime statistics to shape our responses, and how we will react to that, and how we can move forward and use that information to maintain positive community safety. So that's one of the things that we're going to do. Now, the other piece of this, usually when we have the town halls, we invite you in and we ask you in facilitated discussions to tell us about what you see as the issues are. Now, we're going to ask you not only to do that, whether they're neighborhood issues or general issues that you see as a citizen, and it could be traffic, or it could be traffic specifically at 14th and Jackson. It could be something like that. And so we welcome those. But what I also want to welcome you to do, and Lieutenant Kellen will prompt that, we also want you to give us information that will help shape the direction of the department. Now, we just finished in the last couple of years evaluating our prior 4-year strategic plan. And what we did during that period of time is we looked for all the goals that we had set for ourselves as a department. Now, I can tell you, as I analyzed these things, I was incredibly impressed with how well our officers and our staff had done to adjust and to adopt a lot of these new things. And our end goal is, as always, to increase services to our community. How do we get better? How do we use the resources that we have more wisely? How do we provide positive, not only community service, but customer service, positive safety for the community? And there's a lot of things that Lieutenant Kellen's going to be able to tell you about, and we had to limit it. Unfortunately, we had a lot of lists, a lot of things on our to-do list that we accomplished for this department, and she's going to kind of pare it down generally to make it more manageable. So she's going to give you a taste of our successes over the last couple of years. Then we're going to try to show you and shape the strategic vision for the next several years for this department. Now, we've done it internally. All of our employees have participated in that. Now we are looking for that public piece so that you tell us what your goals are for this department. Now, I do a lot of public speaking, and one of the things that I always try to remind people of is the fact that we are public servants. We work for you, And primary to that is understanding your needs. How do we best serve you? What's the most important thing? What is the direction that you want to see this department head in? And so what we're going to do is we want you to think at that larger balcony level and tell us where you want the department going. Not just in the immediate future, but in the next 2, 3, 4 years, where you'd like to see the Sioux City Police Department. Now, we've had things that people have come out and say, such as body cameras, which we have always wanted. And we want to advance things like that, and we need that feedback from the community when they tell us they see something or see a concept or see a crime that they specifically want us to address. Those are the things we're looking for. So as much as can be done in this format, we want you to reach out to us. Now, I can tell you that one of the hardest things about the past several months for us and COVID is that we have lost a connection with the very people we serve, those of you who are watching today and our other citizens. And obviously, if you've been paying attention to the numbers, it's not getting any better, but we are still doing our best to reach out to our citizens and maintain that connection. But like all of us who may have had to quarantine at one time or maybe even had COVID, there's a certain separation. We lose touch with people. We want you to maintain touch with us however you can, and that could be through the website, through the Facebook, and do that. Now, you've probably also noticed a little bit of a change in our response as a department. If you called the police for any matter, a lot of times you might be getting a phone call from an officer, or when the officer gets there, they might wish to take the report outside to assist in social distancing. We're doing that as much as possible, not necessarily to keep ourselves safe, but to keep you safe. We want to mitigate the spread of COVID in our community, and we're doing our best to do that. Now, our officers are wearing masks. Unfortunately, they can't always do that because this can sometimes serve as an impediment to our communication and our ability to convey information back and forth and even hear information. So bear with us. We are doing the absolute best that we can as a law enforcement agency to try to move forward in COVID times and safely respond to your concerns and safely deal with crime. So we're going to do all we can to maintain a high level of service even in times of COVID. So if we all work together and we all understand that we have the same goals, we'll be doing well. Now, before we bring in and start kind of our strategic discussion, I'm just going to talk a little bit about response strategies for the department. Now, one of the things I told you is with this crime information, we need to formulate how we're going to deal with that, okay? And so, as you can see up here, some of our response strategies are pretty self-explanatory. Maintaining an adequate staffing for our department. And that's that we have enough manpower and we have them placed in the right locations at the right times to appropriately respond to community concerns. Utilization of department-wide community policing philosophy. If you're in Sioux City, you understand community policing. What that means is that we need you, and we are more effective as an agency when you are with us, when you communicate with us, when you come to our town halls, when you show up at community policing events, when you feel comfortable to talk to the officers in your neighborhood. So all the things that we do, the outreach, the efforts to get to know the people that we serve, and I'll say that again, we're public servants, is important in allowing us to deal with crime. Now, maintaining effective law enforcement partnerships, and that's not just with our citizens, but we have a very good working relationship with everyone in the area. Our county law enforcement agencies, our federal law enforcement agencies, our state law enforcement agencies, the law enforcement agencies across the river. We have a great working relationship in the Siouxland area. We're thankful for that, and that, again, helps contribute to our effectiveness in responding to and dealing with crime. Now, another thing that we do is utilize a broken window approach to policing. I think you heard Sergeant MCCLURE talk about it. What Sergeant MCCLURE mentioned is that we don't say no to calls for service. Now, you'll see a lot of departments that won't take lower level calls for service. They won't send an officer for minor crimes. We do not believe in that. We believe that customer service is important, and in doing so, when we respond to and work with our community, we want to get everything but the minor crimes, and by dealing with minor crimes, we can effectively hope to mitigate those prior to them becoming bigger, more serious crimes. Now, we also utilize technology to give an edge to officers, and that could be something as easy as body cameras or software, or in our case, analyzing our crime data. And that's what our crime analysts do. And obviously, we'd like to have Marie Divish, our crime analyst, with us here today to tell us about that and give more of an insight. But what that allows us to do by looking at the crime information in Sioux City is adopt an intelligence-led policing approach to law enforcement. That means the trends, the crimes that we see, all of the information that we get from looking at our own crime statistics, where it is, the frequency of it, who our offenders are. That means we can be more proactive. We don't want to just react to crime in Sioux City. We actually want to try to predict it any way that we can so that we can place resources to appropriately deal with it. Now, another piece is maintain an active crime prevention program, and that's where Sergeant McClure, Lieutenant Kellen, Officer Duttler, they are kind of our chain of command for that. Now, all officers are involved in crime prevention, but we let these guys specialize in that, and that could be going out into the community and doing a speech, and obviously in COVID times that becomes a little difficult, but reaching out and helping you make yourself a hard target for crime. We don't want you to become a victim. And so a lot of that is the fact that you employ a very proactive way that you live your life. Deadbolt locks, appropriate engineering around your residence so that you don't have any spots that make you a pleasing target, that people are taking their valuables with them when you leave the vehicle, and not leaving your valuables in the open, and just making common sense decisions that make you less likely to be a victim of crime. So our crime prevention program is key to that. And the other part is embrace current law enforcement trends that maximize resources. Now, I probably say this too much, but this is an incredible department that we have here, and we're amazingly progressive. And a lot of that comes back to our status as a gold standard accredited agency with CALEA. We hold ourselves to an incredibly high standard, and those standards are ever changing. So what we try to do is stay on the front end of law enforcement trends, analyze everything that's going on to our benefit. If something happens in another city or state that's of concern nationally, we analyze it and try to prepare for it here in Sioux City. So being smart, utilizing the latest information and training is always positive for us. And one of the other pieces is maintaining a highly trained workforce. We train our officers and our staff all the time, and we're always looking to find creative ways to expand that training because we believe that training leads to professionalism. The more professional this organization is, the better we're able to respond to your needs as citizens. Now, one of the things that Sergeant McClure mentioned near the end of that crime analysis presentation was violent crime. Now, folks tends to create the most fear. And as Sergeant McClure mentioned, our approach to violent crime is unique in that one of the things is you can't always predict violent crime, but we do our best to try to see trends and identify violent offenders in our community so that we can, and a good way to say it is surgically remove them, arrest them for lower level offenses before they have an opportunity to victimize our citizens. And that other piece is the partnership that I mentioned earlier, working with our local partners, the county, the state officers, working with our federal agents, our federal prosecutors. Dealing with crime is a team effort, and you've got a great team in the Siouxland area, and I'm very proud and very thankful for all the law enforcement agencies that work around us. They're a huge part of our success, and we communicate with them very well. When there is a crime in Sioux City or South Sioux City or North Sioux City, there's a lot of discussion and instant communication between our agencies to help each other solve those crimes. So that's another positive piece. Now I'm going to introduce Lieutenant Kellen here in just a second. I will say thank you. We'll probably have a little bit more time before the end to speak on this. But I will tell you that, again, I would encourage you, I would ask please that as we go through this, I want you to listen to those strategic visions that Lieutenant Kellen gives you. I want you to see and we have 3 key overriding goals, and what you need and what you think this department should be doing will fit under those goals. So we might not have the chance to show you all that like we would if we had something in person, but we are very much going to use everything that you communicate to us tonight to move forward. And you are the most important piece of the puzzle. Again, as public servants, we're here to work for you. So as you give us the direction, everything that Andrew and Sergeant McClure receive tonight is going to get compiled. If it's a specific issue, it will get given to the district officers to potentially problem solve and try to find a solution to. But then again, what I'm really looking forward to hear from all of you tonight, if you can get engaged with our technology here, is how you're going to contribute to our strategic vision. Now, we've had a chance to form that vision, and now the most important people, you have a chance to help us shape that vision. So that's what we're looking forward to tonight, and trust me, everything that you say to us, everything that has been given to us at town hall meetings, every officer that gets stopped when he's getting his lunch and is given a concern is addressed, and that's what we want to continue to doing. So as Lieutenant Kellen goes through her great presentation here, think about that. Think about those points that she gives you when we get to that strategic planning portion, and I really want you to advance your ideas and where you think they fit into our strategic plan. So I'm really looking forward to that. I thank those of you who took the time. It's hard to show up in person, but in some ways, getting this technology, and as you can see from us, engaging with this technology can be a challenge. And if you're here with us, it shows your dedication and your support of this agency, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. So I'm going to have Lieutenant Kellen step up and talk about our successes and our strategic vision, and we will be looking forward to the information that you give us as we move forward with this vision.
Thank you, Chief. This would be the portion of the program where if we weren't already in our district tables, we would move to our district tables, and your district sergeant would help guide this next portion. I apologize earlier for my failure on the mic. I believe we've got that kink worked out now, and I will also try to talk louder. As Chief referred to, we have basically a three-pronged strategic planning plan. We started strategic planning way back in the late 1990s. That first one we did as a 5-year plan. We're doing more 4-year plans, and we've done different variations on the number of years. But typically what happens is we consult with individuals to find out what it is they would like us to look like, what it is we're not doing, what it is that we can do better. How can we improve? You are an extension of our department. We rely heavily on you. We get very valuable information from you, the citizens. Those of you who are familiar with community team policing, remember that we have 9 districts, and the city is divided into those 9 districts. Each district has 2 sergeants. We've had billboards. They're on the sergeants who work in your neighborhood are on the website, SiouxCityPolice.com. You can consult there. And if you have any issues in your neighborhood, remember that you can call those folks. Also, we have every month, most of our districts have a monthly meeting. Obviously, COVID has put a halt to that, but as soon as COVID clears and we can get back to our district meetings, you will be able to interact with your district sergeants as well as your officers. So this 3 pieces of the strategic plan. First one is dealing with strengthening our internal resources, and in that there are 3 components. We want to strengthen the training program inside the Sioux City Police Department. We want to improve user-friendly training, and we want to allocate resources for efficiency. Chief referred to it earlier. He talked about all our successes. I want you, again, this is the part where if we were gathered together at a table, this is the part where we would be asking you questions. You would be giving us answers. We want your interactions. We want your thoughts, your vision. The things, those of you who are into gardening or farming, think of it as this. The ideas you give us, that is what we want to call plant the seed. We want to take your ideas, we want to find solutions to your problems, and then those items that you provide for us for the initial concept, the planting the seed, we want to move those to the horizon. Anything we can do to make them work, to solve the problem, then we want to create the success and have the accomplishment. The items listed here are the things that in our last strategic planning, which lasted from 2015 to 2019, these are some of the items we accomplished. Not all of them, because it would be a very lengthy list. But part of that, we want to go out and seek more grants. We want grants to help with our major crime issues. We're going to swap this one out and try another one. That ain't better? I'll keep talking louder. So, again, we want to constantly seek grants. Once we receive grants to solve a problem, we are always looking for the next problem and utilizing federal money or any money out there to continue our successes. I believe it was last year we partnered with the Woodbury County Sheriff's Department, and in that partnership we created we purchased the VirTra simulator, and we were able to do training together cooperatively, and we've had some great successes training officers on different scenarios. Those of you who are familiar with our squad cars, we have cameras. It was about 3 years ago that we put in entirely new cameras and camera systems, and ways to upload all that footage that we create out of the car cameras. There has been a push for body cameras. We have had body cameras on what we call the horizon. The seed was planted years ago. That moved to on the horizon, and I can assure you that the very first body camera has arrived here in the police department. The IT folks have been doing some work to get those ready to roll out when they get here. We have policies already in place. Those cameras will be here within weeks, and they will be out on officers' persons literally in a few short weeks. We are, as Chief said, we have received the gold standard with excellence. That is a CLIA award. We are CLIA accredited, and we have been for years. That continues to be a positive for us. We know as professionals that the more training we can get, and no matter what the topic is, that it just leads to additional professionalism. We take our training very seriously. We take training topics also very seriously, and the more training we can acquire, the more professional we are. The next portion of our strategic planning is improving police services. This also has 3 different areas. We want to explore effective manpower solutions, continue to positively engage the public, improve customer service. The chief is constantly aware of our customer service, our response to customer service, and it's something he has made a priority and we are very proud of. Some of the things that we've been able to already successfully complete. A few years ago, we were able to go out and buy some traffic car siren boards. Those are the boards that you see up. Some of them are stationary, some of them are mobile, but when you're traveling down a neighborhood, you may see a flashing light indicating a driver's going too fast, and then there's a sign usually indicating the speed limit as well as what that motorist is traveling. We have worked on major crimes, the major offender focus. We have focused intently on reducing our gun crimes and keeping our communities safe. People may not know it, but we started a mobile crisis assessment team. When officers respond to somebody who is having some type of mental illness or mental stress, we call out the crisis team. They arrive and they can make an assessment right on the scene. They can determine whether an individual needs to go to the hospital, whether they are stable and able to remain in their home or wherever we encounter them. but they have been very successful in helping us provide resources to individuals who need some additional help. The community team policing sergeant and officer, they are both in the room this evening. Sergeant Jeremy McClure fills that position, and Officer Andrew Duttler fills the officer position. About a year ago, 2 years ago, the chief made the decision to move those individuals into those positions, and they are the ones who literally are constantly on Facebook, on Twitter, paying attention to the media and issues of those natures. They also, if you've seen them, they've been out with the Cones and Pops cart that has been out at numerous neighborhoods. We also have had great success moving an officer from the Drug Task Force to our Special Investigation Unit. They deal strictly with drug crimes, so if you have a neighborhood issue dealing with drugs, contact us and we can get those reports directed to the proper people. If you haven't noticed, we've brought back Bike Patrol. Bike Patrol, there's about 21 officers and sergeants, I believe, that are went through the training, and it is not unusual to see them as far out as Morningside and constantly in Riverside and on the bike trail and on the Prairie Creek Trail, and they're constantly on bike trails. We have created a drone team. We use that drone team for search and rescue operations. We've used it to monitor the river when it was flooding, but we have done quite a bit of work with that unit. We also have increased staffing by 2 officers. The City Council graciously gave us the okay to add 2 additional members to the police department. We are grateful for. We have put them to work, and we are very excited that they're here. The third part, this is the last portion of our new strategic planning. We've created a united atmosphere and environment. We are fostering a team atmosphere. We want to have the concept of let's work together. If somebody calls in, whether it be to a shift or to a lieutenant, and we try to figure out how we can approach a problem basically across all 3 shifts and resolve that issue as quickly as possible. We also want to improve effective communications. Some of that involves some of the work we've done with radios, and we want to expand equipment options for officers. It was probably been in the last year that we placed an officer in the U.S. Marshals Task Force. We have a sergeant who goes out with the U.S. Marshals and looks for folks with warrants. Probably within the last year also, we received an ATF agent, and he is assigned right here in the police department building. We have a training partnership again with Woodbury County Sheriff's Office on the Virtua simulator, and that is a great training opportunity for everyone who has used it. We also have attempted to make building improvements, physical improvements to the building, and we have a lot of successes. But what we're missing to finish this whole strategic plan is your input. Again, those successes were based on the 2015 to 2019 strategic vision. Again, we consider it very successful. Pretty much every single thing that somebody thought was a need or was a problem, we resolved, and we had those successes plus many, many more. We're looking again for your input, looking for your vision, your thoughts. We need help with where you see the problems are, and since you're probably closest to the problem, we're also looking for any solutions you may be able to provide us. We are going to put whatever you provide us for answers into the strategic plan. We're going to incorporate it right in, and it'll be right there in conjunction with what the officers wanted. Some of the things that we want to know about, we want to know what your biggest concerns are as a citizen. It could be traffic, it could be drugs, it could be construction. Your imagination is endless. We also want to know where you think we should focus our resources. Also, what kind of training or resources do you feel that we should invest in? How do you view the future of our department? how we can use current resources to serve you better. Remember that we have the link on Facebook to take you to the questionnaire. We would love to hear from you. We've put in there some of the not expectations, but some of what we would like from you if you could provide that. We would be grateful for that. This would be again where we would take a time out. We would have discussion. We'd have large group discussion. We would talk, fill out those sheets, and then all that information that you're going to provide us, we would incorporate into the plan. Remember that tomorrow, this presentation will be on our website. I want to mention again briefly that in October, on October 6th, out at Riverside Park from 5 to 7, we are going to host National Night Out. There's going to be food, fun, the typical games that you would normally see. We're going to have a bike rodeo. We are going to utilize Shelter 6, which is the one closest to the Riverside Pool. We'll have the entrance marked. There'll be some barricades so that we can establish the bike rodeo zone, and then there'll be lots of parking. And for those folks who are need to be at another location, just remember that we'll have officers there if you would like some food to go. Second thing I want to mention is on October 24th. That is the DEA drug take back. In the past, we've used 8 or 9 different locations to collect your unused prescription meds. All you have to do is go to the locations, drop them off, and we will collect them and dispose of them for you. Remember that if you can't make it to the DEA drug take back, we also have a permanent box located in our lobby that you can bring in unused prescription meds, and we will dispose of them on your behalf. At this point, I'm going to probably give it a minute and see if we have anyone weighing in on our normal facilitated discussion. We truly appreciate you checking into Facebook tonight. My father would tell you that this is his second strategic planning virtual that he's attended. He would say it was his first and hopefully his last. Okay. Again, we appreciate you tuning in. I want to remind everyone, the entire city is going to be invited to National Night Out at Riverside Park. We are only going to have one location. We are expecting everyone, all our volunteers, everyone is going to be out at Riverside Park October 6th from 5 to 7 p.m. I appreciate all of your patience, all your time. We apologize for the technical difficulties. I think we've overcome, and again, appreciate you standing by through those and participating tonight. Thank you.